Welcome back to the ProFit Golf channel. I'm Natalie. Thanks for taking the time to join me. This video is all about how to stop lifting up in the backswing. So how to prevent changing spinal angle and posture and not being able to maintain that center point. So I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way that you can work on this. Hold your angles better in order to create that strong rotation and better turn in the backswing. So just to show you a couple of quick examples about what we mean by lifting up in the backswing or changing posture. If I use this as my golf ball here that I'm going to set up to for a normal shot, through the backswing, ideally what we would like to see is that you can just turn on spinal angle and maintain this center point. Now, I have about 50 layers on because it's freezing, so this is as good a turn as I'm going to get today. But let's imagine it's summer and I can get the golf club all the way up here a little bit freer. That, in an ideal world, is what we'd like to see. So we'd like to just see the body rotate and maintain the angle and posture that it's on. What we see from a lot of players is a couple of things. Firstly, they don't have the ability to rotate, so the body only gets so far in the backswing and then it has to lift and extend here through the spine. You can see the angle of my zip has changed from the position that I started in, which was here. When I made that better swing, I rotated and my zip remained on the same angle. But when I've lifted up and changed posture, all of a sudden my microphone and my zip are now in another direction. The second thing is what we see is a lot of players swinging flat and around the body rather than creating that upright, strong angle. So the second movement would be more around the body like this. Now this is a heavy exaggeration, but we can see again that I don't have the same angle that I started with in my setup posture. The club has come around my body and sits much flatter here than it would do, obviously, if I was more upright in my backswing. Now, typically, both of these positions come with a couple of physical limitations. One, the ability to create proper rotation. That comes from the hips, that comes from the midsection, the torso here. So that can be some stiffness through the spine and the rib cage and some inability of the musculature to stretch, contract, and create that rotation for you. But also we have a lack of extension or flexion points here through the shoulders where we can keep the lead arm straight, continue to rotate on the angle that we're on. For a lot of golfers, most of these areas are quite stiff because we don't walk around day to day going like this about our business, just wandering around, creating the motions and the movements that our bodies are then needing to do in the golf swing. So I've got a couple of simple exercises here for you to try. One, to help you maintain posture and the angle that you're on. So get the core doing some work in order to keep the spine on the angle that it should be. And two, create some extension through the shoulders and some mobility through the rib cage. Now, I think this may be a first on this channel, but I'm going to use one of the mini resistance bands. So you can get these from anywhere, mainly Amazon is probably the easiest place. They tend to come in a set of 5 or 6 of different strengths. And this is the very light resistance band that I'm going to use just for the demonstration here. Obviously, when you get better at this exercise or if it feels too easy, you can go to a thicker band with more rotation. Rotation, resistance. Hopefully more rotation by the end of it. So I'm going to start by lying down on the mat here. And what I'm going to do is just pop the band on either side of my wrist like that. So I don't want the band in a position where I can bend the wrist and the band doesn't then really do anything. It wants to sit on the back of my hand, wrist position, and I'm going to separate the band by using my shoulders, not by bending at the wrist, okay? So if I lie myself down, feet flat, the aim of the game here basically is for me to try and get my hands overhead without me lifting my back off the ground. So the key points here are that the lower back or the back of the pelvis and the back of the shoulders, my head, where my ponytail is, remain touching on the ground. So I'll take my band straight over my shoulder line, pull my shoulders apart to create some resistance on the band, and I'm now working through the outside of the shoulders and keeping the arms straight. From here, I've got one breath in and out, so in through nose. That raises the rib cage, out through mouth. that brings the rib cage all the way down and the pelvis tight to the mat. All I want to try and do from here is get my arms overhead slowly, as straight as I can, without losing my lower back position. So now I can just about touch the mat, although I can't actually see where I am. I think I'm on the floor at this point with some tension on the band, and I've still got that contact point of the back of my shoulders, my head, and my lower back. I can then come back to my start position the same way, just nice and smooth. So if you want to slacken off at this point, you can. Reset your rep by pulling the shoulders apart so the band gets tight, and I'm then just going to drive myself overhead, really lengthening my arms, pushing my fingertips away from my toes, extending that line so I'm nice and straight and long through my upper body here. Now, the key to this, as I said, would be that we're maintaining the lower back on the floor. So I haven't arched where I can now get my hand in this gap easily. I'm working hard through my core to pull my abs down, keeping the back of my pelvis tight to the mat as I'm making this movement overhead. So what we're learning to do here is work the core while we have a limb of the body moving away from the midline, which is exactly what we're doing when we start making that backswing position. So as that backswing starts to rotate, we have limbs moving away from the center point. So the core is working hard to maintain the posture that you're on. So when that angle changes and we extend through here, it's the core not doing its job knitting in so well to keep you in that strong, stable posture where you can maintain the center point. So with this exercise with the band here, we'd be looking for something around about 12 to 15 reps. Nice and controlled, nice and smooth, where you don't lose the lower back contact from the ground. We don't want that lower back arching. We don't want the shoulders rounding off and losing their contact to the ground. And we want to keep the head on the floor as well. Nice and smooth, really lengthen the body out. Control this. An easy breath in and out on each rep. 12 to 15, and that will start to help you work the core and use the body to be able to maintain spinal angle better in the golf swing. So the second exercise is all about creating better angles whilst maintaining the posture. So that's exactly what we were talking about in the golf swing, where we don't want to be lifting up and we don't really want to be swinging flat and around ourselves. So I'm going to use the mini resistance band again, just to create a feeling and sensation for creating that proper angle through the backswing. So I'm just going to do this down on one knee, so I have a little bit of stability and somewhere to start from. Now, same position here with the mini band, and the idea of this is simply just to create a bit of a chop motion so we're maintaining angles, particularly working through this lead arm. With this exercise, the trail arm here, my right arm, will not be in a natural golf swing position. That's absolutely fine. We're not trying to mimic the exact position of the backswing here. We're just trying to get a feel and a sensation for better angles. So I'm going to start roughly 90-90, so I've got a good stable point on the ground here. My band's going to go in the exact same place we just had it for the previous exercise. Now I'm going to start with a slight diagonal, so that would be kind of roughly parallel to the ground. I'm going to take my right hand and just bring it forward so I've got a diagonal angle and just pull the band apart so there's a slight bit of tension. From here, I'm just going to rotate on a normal angle as far as I can naturally. Again, we said this trail arm here isn't really in a natural position because the hands are not together, but I'm keeping this lead arm nice and straight and following a normal backswing path with it, turning as far as I can. So I'm still maintaining my center point through my midsection and my torso here and not lifting, because if I lift in this position, I'm going backwards through the door. So I'm going back this way, arching my lower back, and I'm probably going to hurt myself falling backwards. So the diagonal here helps you keep that track for the arms to just follow and rotate naturally here. Now, as we said, if there was a flatter swing going on, one, my knee is kind of in my way. I can't really drag the band this way without hitting myself. But the same thing again, if I do, and I go flat around myself here, you can see that the angle is not where it started. I now have my left hand higher than my right, whereas when we had the correct angle, my right hand is very much higher than the left here. And it was dragging me through that natural backswing position where I can feel the rib cage and the core working hard to maintain that stable angle. At the same time that's happening, we're having a conscious thought for the foot and the instep of the foot to provide some pressure to the floor or the mat here. That will help replicate or represent the same position as when we're stood on the ground, rotating through the body naturally. So just to have a little look at some reps here, we're in that 90-90 position with a strong front foot, just using the instep to create some pressure, making sure that we've got that diagonal angle through the band with the right hand slightly higher than the left. And then we're following that same angle, rotating through the rib cage, allowing that lead arm to remain straight and just turning as far as you can naturally, maintaining the spinal angle and your center point. We mentioned that trail arm will not be in a natural position in terms of the golf swing, but worry more so about the angle of the lead arm and that rotation that you're creating. As you work through this exercise, you should feel the core and the rib cage working hard to maintain the stability and the center point of your body. And if you're hitting your body at any point, we know that we're going on that flatter angle, or if we're seeing the body lift and the zip change angle on your clothing, then we know that we're not in the right position. We'd be looking for around about 10 to 12 reps on this one, and you only need to do your backswing side. You don't need to do the downswing, so we only need to do the one side with this exercise. Again, like most exercises on this channel, take your time, work on the technique, make sure it's smooth and controlled. Give those two exercises a try, and hopefully that should help you create that little bit more range through the backswing and maintain posture that little bit easier. Thanks again for watching this video, and thanks again for being on this channel. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this content. And if you've not seen already, there's loads more golf videos on this channel, loads of different topics going on. We've got hips, we've got backswing, we've got downswing, we've got seniors. There's everything on this channel to help all golfers of any ability level. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time with a brand new topic.